So let's talk about scheduling. We're going to be actually talking about scheduling the appointment management system as well as the recall system, which is chapters 11 and 12 in your book. And when it comes to scheduling, it's really important to know that as an office manager, this is definitely going to be something that you're going to be managing and making sure that it is accurate, it is up to date, and that it has all of the information needed when it comes to knowing what you're going to be doing, what procedures you're going to be doing on a patient. What's nice with your electronic scheduling system or any kind of dental software that you're using, whether it's EagleSoft, which is what we use here and also in the clinic, but there's other ones out there like Dentrix, EasyDent, SoftDent. All of those are for the most part pretty user-friendly. Once you've worked with one software, it's pretty easy to be able to maneuver in another one just because they're all very similar in what they do. So for EagleSoft, as you can see, this is the on schedule, as it is called, and there's lots of different icons that you can choose from. And what's really nice is you can actually choose to look at just the day. You can look at the week. You can also look at the month. It also has different views that you can look at depending on what it is that you're wanting to see. This one is accounts and provider. This is chair and provider. So depending on what type of view or what your settings are or how you customize it, you can certainly have it meet your specific needs in what you're doing. These arrows here will actually go to, this goes to the day prior to, this goes to the next day. This will actually take you back a few, back to the week. So if you're, let's see, it's Wednesday today, you don't want to go to Tuesday, you want to go to Monday, that would take you back to the beginning of the week, and this is going to take you all the way to the end of the week. Pushing the circle right here, this icon is going to take you to the current date, which is today's date. But there's all of these different icons, and again, each software system is going to have, they're all going to look a little bit different, but they're all there and they all serve a purpose and a function. What's nice about all of these different software systems is if you're ever unsure which one to select, all you have to do is hover over that and it will pop up with the description of what that icon means. And it's something that you can kind of like a quick link that instead of having to go all the way back out into the main page, you can easily access whatever you need from your on schedule here. So when we're looking at scheduling and talking about scheduling with electronic, it's very convenient. We can very easily find the next available appointment for our patient. There are actually icons here that we can actually search out the next available appointment. Maybe this patient is wanting a specific day and time. We can actually search it to see if that time and date is actually available. We can also have, again, just depending on how we customize it, we can look at it at the day view, which is just giving us basically a screenshot of what we're seeing for the day. In the next screen I'm going to show you, it actually has some patients scheduled in there that you can see how things are kind of in and how things work out. The patient information window, this is something you can access even from your on schedule area, and this allows you to maybe look at maybe patient information as far as maybe the insurance the patient has. Maybe you want to just take a quick look to see what insurance they have, or just to ensure that they've signed all of their forms. Make sure you update their medical history. That's something you can also do from your schedule screen here, rather than having to go all the way back and then getting into the patient chart. We can locate an appointment, future appointment. So let's say a patient calls, they have forgotten when their next appointment is. We can type in their name in a certain area and it will actually search out and give us the details for their next appointment, the date and time. Rather than back in the day with our paper book, we had to actually search through every single, pretty much every week to find out where that patient was scheduled. Another thing that we can do with our software, which is, you'll see it in the next screen as well, is we can also track our goals. So some offices create either weekly or monthly or yearly goals. And in order to ensure that you're meeting those goals for production, it's going to let you know what your production is for the day. And then it's also a screen you can look at to see what your production would be based on how your schedule looks at that moment, what your projected production is expected to be, assuming that your appointments stay the way that they are. And then we can easily access, we can use either the buttons up here, or we can actually open the calendar, which allows us to move ahead to, several years out if we needed to. Some patients do like to schedule a recurring appointment, and that's going to be more so for recalls when you get into hygiene appointments where they're being seen every 6 months. If they're on a 3-month schedule, you can easily schedule reoccurring appointments as well, just to make it easier to make sure that they're in there on that day that they want, that time that they want for future appointments. So going on to the next screen, this kind of shows you what an actual schedule would look like. What's nice about, again, EagleSoft and any kind of dental software is you can actually color code things. EagleSoft happens to color code based on appointment type. So you can actually customize this to make these any color that you want, but not only can you customize the color for your appointments, but you can also customize the time. So whenever you click on that appointment or appointment type, it will automatically set it up for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever your doctor's preferences for certain types of appointments. It will automatically do that for you, so you don't have to worry about trying to make sure it's going to fit into a certain spot, so it kind of takes the guesswork out of it a lot. But here you can see you can color code based on different types of procedures. Usually emergencies are going to be red, and that just allows you to see, if you're looking at your schedule, what patients are going to be emergency patients. You can also create blocks within your schedule if you need to block off time for, say, your morning huddle, or maybe you're going to have a staff meeting sometime during the week that you want to make sure that you block that time off so nothing accidentally gets scheduled in that time. Blocks are also good if the dentist has any kind of a meeting coming up that you need to make sure that he or she is aware of when that meeting is, where it's going to be at, and also to ensure that you're not scheduling anybody in that time frame when the doctor is needing to be out of the office by a certain time. Your book also has some great pictures of what EagleSoft looks like and all of the different views that you can see within EagleSoft. Unfortunately, we won't have a chance to work within it, at least not for office management. You will have an opportunity when you get into your clinic classes to jump on and kind of do some confirmations of appointments. You'll be scheduling appointments, you'll be collecting payments from patients, that you'll be able to actually get in here and see what this all entails when it comes to this software. We will be doing some scheduling, and I'll go over that in a separate video on your instructions on how you're going to do that. But when it comes to scheduling, I do want you to know that your time increments are going to either be in either 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Those are going to be the two most popular time increments for you to schedule your appointments. And each section is going to be considered a unit. So if you have an appointment that is 4 units long, well, depending on if it's a 10-minute or 15-minute, you're going to start counting at the 9. Let's say this is 8. That's 10 minutes, that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So if we have a 5-unit appointment, we're looking at about 50 minutes long for that appointment. If it's 6 units, then it's an hour long. Now, if we're working in 15-minute increments, that would be 15, 30, 45, and an hour. So 5 units would actually be an hour and 15 minutes. So that is something you're going to have to do on your scheduling assignment when you get to that point. You'll also notice that here on the side, it depicts with either a slash or an X, and that usually is showing doctor time and assistant time. EagleSoft is a little bit different in that. I'm pretty sure you can customize that. I just haven't had a chance to really play around with that to see how you can do that. But that was done back in the day when we did paper scheduling, so we would know when what assistant time would be and when doctor time would be. Your X usually symbolizes doctor time, and your slash symbolizes assistant time. So when you think about scheduling your appointments, you want to make sure that you vary your appointments. You don't want to have a crown prep and a crown prep right after another. You don't want to do filling, filling, filling. You want to make sure that you have variety throughout your day, because even though fillings may be somewhat of an easier procedure compared to a crown prep or a root canal, it's very tedious, and a dentist doesn't want to jump from chair to chair just doing filling after filling after filling. So you have to make sure that you're putting in appointments that will kind of offset some of those tedious and more, I guess, harder appointments where it's going to be more time consuming, where it's going to be a lot more of the doctor's time. You want to make sure that you're putting maybe some easier appointments in between, mixing them up either with an emergency or also with a new patient exam. That way you're not having 2 major procedures back to back, because that can be very tiring for a dentist to be able to have to do that, and also for you as an assistant as well. You'll definitely appreciate having that variety throughout your day, especially if you're going from root canal to root canal. Those are procedures that require a lot, and it can be very, very tiring once you're done with those procedures. Your book also talks about your doctor's body clock, and you'll hear that a lot because in any kind of scheduling seminar that you go to, they always say you need to schedule to your doctor. Some doctors are morning people, some doctors are more afternoon people. So you want to always schedule according to your doctor. Some docs prefer to do a harder appointment in the morning. So maybe you're doing a crown prep, you're doing a root canal first thing in the morning and then right after lunch, and then buffering throughout the day with other types of appointments. Some doctors prefer to do everything in the afternoon or everything in the morning. So it's just going to depend on what your doctor wants, but just make sure that in between patients, you're at least putting in something a little bit easier so the doctor can get a little bit of a break. Emergency patients, those are, sometimes we have to squeeze those types of patients in. They usually call wanting, to be seen right away, and we do try to accommodate them as best we can. If you're ever unsure where to put somebody, I always just ask my doctor just to make sure, or even asking the assistants, because as an assistant, you kind of know your schedule and know where would be the best place to put a patient. If you ask a doctor, a lot of times they'll say, just put them here, just have them come right over, when that's really not the best time for them to be coming over. If you're working with pediatric patients or children, it's always best to, again, schedule them maybe in the morning, sometimes more towards the afternoon. They're ready for their nap and they're probably going to be less cooperative. If you have older patients, you do have to be mindful of that. Prime appointments, those are usually your 3-4 o'clock appointments. Those typically go fast, and you want to ensure that you are reserving those for people that are going to actually show up. Buffer time is usually added in to sort of, give your assistants some time to be able to get their rooms picked up, and just to provide a little bit of time in between each patient. Some offices do that, some offices don't. So I will be back in another video to talk about your assignment when it comes to scheduling, and just to follow up on what we talked about with this.